I never thought my life would turn into one of those cliché stories you read online, the kind where a husband thinks everything is fine, only to wake up one day and realize his entire world has been a lie. But here I am. My name is Daniel, 38 years old, married to Emily for 12 years. We met in college, fell hard, got married young, and built what I believed was a solid life together. We had our routines: morning coffee, evening walks, Friday night movies. Comfortable. Stable. Emily is 36, a marketing director at a mid-sized firm. She's always been driven, ambitious, and if I'm being honest, more sociable than me. She thrives on happy hours, networking events, and office gatherings, while I'm the kind of guy who prefers a quiet night at home. It was never a problem, though. At least, that's what I thought. Lately, though, something has felt off. It started small, little things I told myself were nothing. Her phone, once left carelessly on the kitchen counter, was suddenly always face down. She started laughing at her texts more, but when I asked, she'd just say, "Oh, it's just work drama." She used to complain about staying late at the office, but now? Now, she seemed almost eager to go. Then there was the perfume. A different scent than the one she always wore. Something lighter, sweeter. I noticed it the night she came home later than usual, saying she had drinks with the team. When I kissed her hello, it hit me, an unfamiliar fragrance that didn't belong in our home. I let it go. I let it go because doubt is an ugly thing. It sneaks into your mind, poisons your thoughts, makes you see things that might not even be there. But then came the real moment. The thing that made my stomach twist. One night, Emily left her laptop open while she was in the shower. I wasn't snooping, I swear, I wasn't. I was just walking past the kitchen table when I saw it. A name in her messages, Ben. I knew most of her friends, most of her coworkers. But Ben? That name didn't ring a bell. The message was short. "Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about it." And just like that, my world tilted. I stared at the screen, waiting for something, anything, to explain it away. A joke? A misunderstanding? But as I reached for the laptop, the screen went black, locking itself. A coincidence? Maybe. A mistake? Probably not. I stood there, my heart pounding in my chest, waiting for Emily to come back from the shower. When she did, she gave me a quick smile, wrapped a towel around her hair, and walked past me as if nothing had changed. As if our life wasn't about to unravel. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that damn message. "Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about it." The words burned into my brain. I lay in bed next to Emily, listening to her breathe. She looked so peaceful, wrapped in our blankets, her chest rising and falling like she didn't have a care in the world. Meanwhile, my mind was racing. Who the hell was Ben? I didn't say anything that night. I told myself I needed proof. Something concrete. Maybe it was nothing, maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe she was planning a surprise for me. Maybe I was just being paranoid. But paranoia doesn't make your wife smile at her phone like a teenager. It doesn't make her wear a new perfume that you didn't buy. It doesn't make her messages disappear the second you try to read them. By morning, my decision was made. Digging for the truth. I started with the basics. Emily's phone was practically glued to her hand, but I knew her morning routine. She liked to take long showers. It gave me a small window. The next day, as soon as I heard the water running, I grabbed her phone from the nightstand. Locked, of course. But I knew Emily's password, she never changed it. Or at least, she hadn't before. Because now? Now the password didn't work. My stomach dropped. Emily never locked me out of anything before. I tried again. And again. Nothing. I put the phone back and sat on the edge of the bed, my hands clenched into fists. That was it. That was the moment I really knew. People don't suddenly change their passwords unless they have something to hide. I needed another way in. That's when I remembered her laptop. The email that changed everything. Emily left for work, kissing me on the cheek like everything was normal. I forced a smile, waved her goodbye, and the second she was out the door, I grabbed her laptop. This time, I got in. She hadn't logged out of her email. I started scrolling. At first, it was nothing. Work emails, some newsletters, a few messages from friends. But then, I saw it. A folder in her inbox, hidden under a generic name, receipts. I clicked on it. And there they were. Hotel confirmations. Not just one. Not just two. 4 different reservations over the last 3 months. Each one at a hotel across town. Each one for a single night. And the name on the confirmation? Ben Carlson. My breath caught in my throat. It wasn't just suspicion anymore. It wasn't just paranoia. It was real. My wife was cheating on me. Shock, denial, and the breaking point. I don't remember how long I sat there, staring at the screen. My whole body went numb. It was like watching my own life collapse in slow motion. 12 years of marriage. Gone. Just like that. The room felt different now. The pictures on the wall, the blankets on the couch, the coffee mugs in the sink, everything looked the same, but it wasn't. Because now, I knew. Emily wasn't my wife anymore. Not really. I shut the laptop, my hands shaking. And then, something inside me snapped. I wasn't just going to sit here. I needed to see it for myself. I needed to catch her in the act. By the time Emily came home that night, I had a plan. I wasn't going to explode. I wasn't going to scream or throw things. No, I wanted her to walk into my trap, to tell her lies, to look me in the eyes and pretend everything was normal while I held the truth in my hands. Dinner was quiet. Too quiet. Emily sat across from me, sipping her wine, scrolling through her phone like she wasn't destroying our marriage one text at a time. I watched her carefully, every movement, every fake smile. It was disgusting. So, I said, stabbing a piece of steak. How was work? She looked up, a little too quickly. Oh, you know. The usual. Meetings, emails. It was exhausting. I nodded. That why you've been staying late so often? She blinked. What? You've been coming home late a lot. I leaned forward, watching her face. Long nights at the office? For just a second, I saw it, that flicker of panic in her eyes. It was fast, barely noticeable, but I caught it. She recovered quickly, laughing. Oh, yeah. We're launching a new campaign, so things have been crazy. Lie. A bold-faced, shameless lie. I wanted to drag her laptop onto the table and shove the hotel receipts in her face. I wanted to scream, to demand she tell me who the hell Ben Carlson was and how long she had been sneaking around behind my back. But I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I just smiled. That's rough. Maybe you should take a break. We could go somewhere for the weekend? Her lips parted slightly, surprised. Oh. That's sweet, but I just don't think I can. I'm swamped right now. I nodded slowly, gripping my fork so tightly my knuckles turned white. Right. You're busy. She gave me another one of her fake smiles and reached for her phone again, completely oblivious to the fact that she was digging her own grave. The final proof. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there, staring at the ceiling while Emily slept peacefully beside me, her phone clutched in her hand like it was her lifeline. I wanted to grab it, to smash it, to break every illusion she had built. But I needed more. So the next morning, I followed her. She left at her usual time, kissing me goodbye like nothing was wrong. Like she wasn't about to go meet him. I waited 5 minutes, then grabbed my keys and got in my car. She didn't go to work. I knew it the second she took a different exit, heading toward the other side of town. My stomach twisted as I tailed her from a safe distance, my fingers gripping the wheel so hard my hands ached. 15 minutes later, she pulled into a parking lot. A hotel parking lot. And then I saw him. A tall guy in his late 30s, clean-cut, dressed in business casual, standing outside the lobby. He looked around, then smiled when he spotted her. Emily parked, got out, and without hesitation walked right up to him. She hugged him. She didn't even look around, didn't hesitate, didn't care. I sat there, frozen, as my wife leaned up and kissed another man like it was the most natural thing in the world. Like I didn't exist. Breaking the illusion. I don't remember getting out of my car. 1 second, I was gripping the wheel, my pulse pounding in my ears. The next, I was standing right behind her, my voice colder than I had ever heard it. Having a good morning, Emily? She spun around so fast she nearly lost her balance. Her eyes widened, her mouth opening slightly in pure, stunned horror. Daniel, she stammered. The guy Ben, I assumed, looked between us, his face paling. I should go. No, I snapped, locking eyes with him. You should stay. I'd love to know what kind of man screws another man's wife in cheap hotel rooms. Ben looked like he wanted to disappear. Look, man, Shut up. I turned back to Emily, my voice shaking. How long? She swallowed hard. Daniel, How long, Emily? Her shoulders slumped. The fight drained out of her. 6 months. There it was. The truth. The ugly, gut-wrenching truth. I felt like the air had been knocked out of me. Like my heart had been ripped from my chest and stomped into the pavement. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Half a year of kissing me goodnight, of saying she loved me, of pretending everything was fine while she was here. With him. I took a step back, shaking my head. I gave you everything, Emily. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't mean to. Oh, spare me. You meant every single second of it. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. And for the first time in 12 years, I didn't see my wife. I saw a stranger. A liar. A cheater. Someone who threw away everything we built for him. I exhaled slowly. Then, with the coldest voice I had ever used, I said 4 simple words. We're done. Have fun. Then I walked away. And I didn't look back. I drove without a destination, gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping me together. My mind was screaming, my heart pounding, but my body? Numb. It was over. 12 years of marriage. Gone. And the worst part? She didn't even fight for it. She just stood there, guilty and silent, like a child caught stealing from the cookie jar. I should have felt relief that I finally had my answer. But all I felt was rage. Not just at Emily. Not just at Ben. But at myself. For not seeing it sooner. For trusting her. For wasting 12 years of my life on a woman who could betray me so easily. I pulled into an empty parking lot, my hands shaking. My head dropped onto the steering wheel, and for the first time in years, I let out a sound I didn't recognize. It wasn't a sob. It wasn't a scream. It was something broken. The war in my head. I had 2 choices. 1, walk away, file for divorce, and start over. 2, make her regret everything. The idea of revenge crept in, dark and tempting. I could ruin her life. Expose her to her friends, her family, her job. Make sure Ben's wife, if he had one, knew exactly what kind of man he was. I could be calculated, cold, meticulous. She shattered my world. Why should she get to walk away unscathed? But then I thought about what that meant. About what it would turn me into. Would it feel good in the moment? Probably. Would it fix anything? No. Would it make me like her? Yeah. And that realization? That stopped me. I wasn't like Emily. I wasn't a liar. I wasn't a cheater. I wasn't going to let her drag me down with her. No. I was going to take the high road. But that didn't mean I was going to make this easy for her. The cold exit. I drove home with a plan. A silent exit. No shouting. No drama. Just cold, brutal detachment. Emily wasn't home when I got back. Probably still at the hotel with Ben, trying to figure out how to do damage control. Good. That gave me time. I packed everything. My clothes. My laptop. My important documents. Anything that mattered to me. The wedding photos? Left on the bed. The ring? Placed neatly on the nightstand. I didn't write a note. Didn't send a text. She didn't deserve a goodbye. By the time she got home, I was gone. The aftermath. The text started within an hour. Emily, Daniel, where are you? We need to talk. Ignored. Emily, I know you're angry, but can we just talk about this? Ignored. Then the calls started. Over and over. Declined. 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 Then, the voicemails. The first was shaky, guilty. Daniel, please. Just talk to me. The second? Angrier. You can't just leave. We need to discuss this like adults. By the third, she was crying. Please, Daniel. I made a mistake. Don't just disappear. Please. I listened to them all. And I felt nothing. She wasn't sorry she did it. She was sorry she got caught. And I wasn't about to give her the satisfaction of begging me to stay. When silence is the loudest revenge. The next day, I met with a lawyer. I told him everything, showed him the receipts, the proof. He nodded, expressionless, and said, "This will make things easy." Good. Because I was done making things easy for Emily. By the end of the week, she was served. And by the time she realized I wasn't coming back, that I wasn't hers to manipulate anymore, she was the one left shattered. Not me. Emily didn't stop trying to reach me. Texts. Calls. Voicemails. I ignored every single one. But when she showed up at my new apartment, pounding on the door like a madwoman, I knew I had to face her one last time. I wasn't doing it for her. I was doing it for me. To put the final nail in the coffin of what we once were. Face to face with a stranger. When I opened the door, Emily looked like hell. Her hair was messy, her face puffy like she'd been crying for days. She wore the same gray hoodie she always threw on when she was stressed, except this time, I didn't feel the urge to comfort her. I felt nothing. "Daniel," she whispered, eyes wide, like she couldn't believe I was really standing there. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "What do you want, Emily?" She flinched at my tone. I just wanted to talk." "There's nothing to talk about." She swallowed hard. "Please. Can I just come in?" I almost laughed. Like I'd ever let her in my home again. "No," I said flatly. "Say whatever you need to say and leave." Her bottom lip trembled. She probably expected me to cave, to let her inside so she could work her way back in. Not this time. Not ever again. Her excuses, my silence. She took a shaky breath. "I don't even know where to start." I shrugged. "Start with the truth." Tears welled in her eyes. "I didn't mean to hurt you." I clenched my jaw. "You didn't mean to cheat on me?" "It wasn't like that," she said quickly. "It just happened." I laughed coldly. "It just happened? What, you tripped and fell onto his dick?" She winced, tears finally spilling over. "I was lonely, Daniel." "You don't." I cut her off, my voice sharper than I intended. I saw it then, her real plan. She wanted to shift the blame onto me. Make it seem like I drove her to do this. That it wasn't her fault. That she was the victim. And for a second, I almost fell for it. But then I remembered. The texts. The hotel reservations. The way she kissed that man like I didn't exist. And I realized something. She wasn't sorry she cheated. She was sorry she lost control over me. The final goodbye. I exhaled slowly, keeping my voice steady. You made your choice, Emily. She shook her head. But I still love you. I stared at her, letting the words settle between us. Then, without a single ounce of hesitation, I said, I don't. Her breath hitched. You don't mean that. I tilted my head. Yes, I do. I watched the realization hit her hard. She didn't have me anymore. No more second chances. No more Daniel to come home to. No more us. Her hands trembled. So that's it? I nodded. That's it. For a moment, she just stood there, blinking away tears. Then she turned and walked away, shoulders hunched, wiping her face with her sleeve. I didn't call after her. I didn't watch her leave. I just closed the door. And this time, it stayed closed. The silence after Emily left was deafening. I stood by the door for a long time, staring at the spot where she had been, waiting for some kind of feeling. Regret. Sadness. Relief. Something. But there was nothing. Just a strange emptiness, like someone had taken a scalpel and carved her out of my life, leaving only the hollow space where she used to be. It wasn't just Emily that I had lost. It was us. The 12 years of memories. The inside jokes. The Friday night movies. The lazy Sunday mornings. The feeling that I had a partner in this life. I had spent more than a decade thinking we were building something together. Turns out, I was building a home, and she was building an exit. Picking up the pieces. The next few weeks were a blur of paperwork, legal meetings, and uncomfortable conversations. I didn't tell many people what happened. Just the essentials, my lawyer, a couple of close friends, my brother. Emily, on the other hand? She must have been scrambling to save face, because suddenly, mutual friends started reaching out with concerned messages. Hey, man, I just heard about you and Emily, what happened? She said she made a mistake, but she's devastated. Are you really getting divorced? Maybe you guys should try therapy before making any rash decisions. Rash decisions? Rash? She had been screwing another man for 6 months, and I was the one being rash? I ignored them all. Except for one. My best friend, Mark, called me one night, his voice low and serious. Tell me the truth, man, he said. What did she do? I hesitated. Then I told him everything. The hotel receipts. The lies. The confrontation. By the time I finished, there was a long silence. Then, Mark exhaled sharply. Jesus Christ, man. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I said numbly. Me too. The divorce. Emily didn't fight it. She tried to call a few more times, left a couple of emails saying she wanted to explain. But what was there to explain? She had been with another man. She had chosen him, over and over, for months. There was no miscommunication. No misunderstanding. She knew exactly what she was doing. And so, I made sure she signed those papers. No drawn-out court battles. No theatrics. Just cold, simple finality. When the divorce was finalized, I expected to feel something big, some dramatic moment where everything suddenly clicked and I felt free. But it wasn't like that. It was just quiet. Like an old wound that finally stops bleeding. Moving on, or trying to. People love to talk about moving on like it's some clear, structured process. Step 1, get divorced. Step 2. Find yourself. Step 3. Fall in love again. Reality isn't that simple. Some nights, I felt strong, like I had dodged a bullet, like I had cut out a toxic person before she could do any more damage. Other nights, I felt like a ghost in my own life. There were still habits I hadn't broken. I'd wake up reaching for her, only to remember she wasn't there. I'd buy 2 coffees instead of 1, because that's what I always did. I'd instinctively text her when something funny happened at work, before remembering she wasn't my person anymore. That was the hardest part. Not the anger. Not the betrayal. The absence. The slow, aching realization that the person you built your life around is just gone. Not dead. Not missing. Just out there, existing without you. The moment everything changed. It was about 3 months after the divorce when something shifted. I was sitting in a cafe, scrolling through my phone, when I heard laughter. Not just any laughter. A woman's laughter. It wasn't Emily's. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't want it to be. I looked up and saw her, just a stranger, sitting at the next table, laughing at something on her phone. And suddenly, I realized something. I wasn't dead inside. Not completely. I could still feel things. I could still heal. Emily's betrayal had wrecked me, but it hadn't ended me. I wasn't broken. I was just in transition. And for the first time since everything fell apart, I let myself think about the future. Not the past. Not her. Just me. A new beginning. And this time, I was going to get it right.